Hello fellow Hunters of the Blue and welcome to my channel. I think, and I know this is not an unpopular opinion, that these things are the worst thing GW has ever conceived, which is a big problem considering I plan to play an Eldar army. So, I decided to create a better solution for my grab tanks, and I hope you like it too. But before we start, let me talk to you about today's video sponsor, Skillshare. One of my favorite comments to read on the channel, and I read them all, is when people tell me they know a work is mine before opening the video. I like it because that means my style is easy to recognize. Today I will help you find your own style with the help of Skillshare. Skillshare is the largest online learning community full of creatives with thousands of classes led by industry experts across film, illustration, design, freelance, productivity, and more. Skillshare can help you take your career, skill, hobbies, passions, or side hustles to the next level. For example, with the class Find Your Style, 5 exercises to unlock your creativity identity by Andy J. Pizza. For Andy, the search to find his style was really the search to find himself. Packed with weird and wonderful examples, each lesson includes his favorite projects, tips and discoveries along the way. Whether you are a designer, filmmaker, writer or musician, unlocking your style is the key to feeling fully at home in what you make. So, starting today, invest in yourself, starting a learning journey on Skillshare to explore your creativity and find new passions. The first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Get started today. So, thanks again to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and let's get cracking. So there are a couple of things I want from my new flying stand. One, it needs to be sturdy, obviously. 2, it needs to be removable, so I need to be able to take it on and off the stand as I please. And finally, it needs to look good. So I've been giving this a lot of thought because holding this large model by just this little hole of these very fragile connectors, just look how fragile this is. That's it. It's ridiculous. It really makes no sense. And I also wanted something that I could just buy, and I found this. It's not perfect, but it's as best as I've been able to find. GW sells this. It's a Valkyrie flying stem and base. It's just the old flyer base with the flyer stem. And I'm going to use this. It's a bit too long, but I don't mind cutting it. And it also provides that with a really nice base, so I can do a little bit, bigger basing. The model looks better, looks amazing. And this thing comes with this tab here. This is not meant to be used, this is part of the sprue, but I actually want to keep this because I'm going to use this as my, insert into the model. Just one issue. As you can see, this has a cut into it because it's meant to be snapped. But we don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is reinforce this, make it stronger. First thing I will do is remove this little peg here. Be careful because it will fly off at great speed. My first step is going to be to fill that indentation, and the idea is to use a bit of sprue to fill that gap. But as you can see, the sprue has a different angle. This is the normal angle the sprue has. You basically want this at a slightly bigger angle. And I'm going to hold this with my pliers to be as safe as possible. And I'm going to start chopping this into its shape like that. Be very careful when you do this. Well, I don't want you to cut yourself, but if you cut yourself, remember it's not my fault. You can also do this against the table, but it's harder to see. Let's see if that fits now. Yeah, that is absolutely perfect. You can either glue this as it is right now, but I actually prefer to trim it. I'm going to just cut this like this. And for that, I am going to put it on the table. I'm going to try and hold it as firmly as possible, but this can be a little bit tricky. And I'm going to start scoring the plastic. Again, please be very, very careful when doing this. You can do a little bit of pressure, but not too much. We don't want to deform this heavily. There you go. There you go. So we place that in that recess, in that part there. We take some ultra thin glue. There you go. And we do plenty of this, a lot. We don't mind, this is not going to be seen, so it doesn't matter if it runs onto that section there. Now I like to take my pliers and apply pressure, because what the glue does is melt the plastic. And by adding pressure, I'm going to, even if my angle on my cutting is not perfect, this is going to make up for it. So I'm just going to press it down, just like that. So we have this, it's been drying for about half an hour. It's not fully dry because I use so much of this stuff that it's still a little bit gummy, but it's good enough. So what I'm going to do is just trim this, taking advantage of the long blade here. Just trimming so we have a flush surface. You see now we have a constant profile, and this is now a much more sturdy joint in connection and hopefully not going to break or anything. Now it's time to prep our tank base. It has this like strut there. We need to remove it just on the section aligned with the hole because our slot is going to go through there. I like to use some of this Tamiya tape, and I like it because I can use it as a reference because it's rectangular. So we have like a good reference, and same for the other side. And I will try to be as parallel as possible here. That is exactly what I wanted, because now I have a parallel reference that is closer to what I need to cut. And then I get my box cutter, or I can use my scalpel if I want more precision. I just slide it across here and I make a cut there. And I do the same on the back side. This is so hard to film. I can do the same in the other direction, just like that. Now we have exactly what we need to cut, perfectly defined here. The safest way, if you don't own a saw like this, is to just cut it using a box cutter. And for that, I'm just going to very carefully score it like that. And you keep scoring it slowly, each pass getting a little bit deeper, just like that. And at the end of the day, you will get a perfectly cut slot, just like that. What I do now is ideally I will use a file, but I don't have any flat files, believe it or not. So I'm just going to use my scalpel or my X-Acto blade to slowly and carefully, very carefully please, these things are very sharp, make the hole tidy. And you can test it out with your new holder. See, it just doesn't really fit lengthwise, so I'm probably going to make it a little bit longer. It's just a matter of going back and forth until it fits. Let's test again. I suggest you test little by little. You see, now it's fitting. Now it's going in. There you go. A little bit more. Very tight, which is what we want. You want a tight fit. It's going to get looser the more you put it in and out. Yeah, I know how that sounds, but it's true. So it's better if it is a little bit tight now, because again, the more you play with it, the looser it gets. Oh, that sounds awful. Sorry. Now, the only thing we need to do is to cut this to length. My suggestion is again to use some tape. It makes this very, very easy. I first tried cutting this parallel to the top section. So I made my cut as parallel as possible. Something like that. But that doesn't work. I found out it's better if we tilt the Falcon forwards, the Falcon chassis. If we leave it parallel, it feels like it's floating upwards a little bit. So you want it slightly tilted. And I like more or less this height. This height is good. I'm going to press the tape and make it tight. There you go. Now we have a straight line that is, as I said, slightly more tilted than the top. Slightly, a couple degrees, something like that. What I'm going to do now is score the plastic where I want to cut it. And for that, I'm going to place my blade. I'm going to rest my blade on the tape and very gently follow it. We just need to mark our cut. We don't need anything else, just marking the cut, so we can have a reference for our cut. And to make this cut, you really need a saw, and I'm going to use just that. I'm going to place it. I'm going to put my saw blade just in line with that mark, and I'm going to start cutting. Being very slow, very methodical, and very careful to not lose that line. This is going to take a while, so let me stop and I will catch you once I'm done. I have this scored most of the way, and because this is very brittle, we should just be able to do that. And it just pops off. And what I like to do now is to make this as smooth as possible. I have here some 150 grit. This is for metal. And I can just place it here as flat as possible and just drag it like that. Just like that. Just in one direction, trying not to tilt it. It sounds awful, but that usually means it's working. After a little bit of sanding, we have something that more or less resembles a flat. I have a little bit of a lift off at the back. Well, you know, no one's perfect. And again, it doesn't really matter. Now it's just a matter of gluing this onto the base, and I'm going to use the same glue, the same ultra thin glue. Just going to flood the joint between the two bits of plastic. I like to press it so the plastic melts a bit more, you know, there's a little bit of a wiggly motion, just to make sure we are really pressing it down into the plastic so it melts into a single bit of plastic. And by the magic of having already built another one, you can see it here, fully dried and with a tank. There you go. Look at that. Looks awesome. And it's so sturdy. Look at that. The tank looks amazing in it. Even if you go to the very, very low angles, you won't see like a screw or something like that. You will always going to see a nice bit of plastic. It looks professional. It looks like a proper flying stand for a proper tank. So yeah. Today's video has been a very basic one, but at least for me, a very important one. I find the old flying stand extremely frustrating, so finding a solution that worked and looked good was very important for me. There are other solutions out there, but this is mine. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget that if you like my videos and want to help me make them, you can follow me on social media. You have the links to all my social media in the description below and in the pinned comment of this video. Share and like this video, but most importantly, there is Patreon and channel members. Patrons and members allow me to do all the cool videos that I want to make, and most importantly, they allow me to keep releasing videos for free here on YouTube. Perks include access to an amazing Discord community full of lovely people, access to many more Patreon exclusive videos, and now also private one-on-one tutorings. Help me and join the list of the coolest persons on the planet, including Jaming Yang, Christopher Weatherford, Gilio, Nathan Schickel, William Sherman, Michael Holtz, Matt Broad, Rob Landrich, John Schatt, Kieran Slade, Sen Shiro, Roosevelt, Petrov 1970, Steve Page, Jason Landry, Brendan Rafferty, Joe, Werner Folnate, Sam, Brett Malone, Joshua Wolf, Chase, Morrie K, Emilia Salas, Max Scribner, J.H., Alessandro Laperna, Sebastian A., Oscar Zerain Bebia, Chris, Nick Warner, Jorge Pardo Serrano, 901 Horses, Carol Hosigawa, Francesco Gambino, Killaman21, Painted by Tentin, Lafarrell, Dark Rune, Valentin Bedell, Kevin Marshall, Adam Carroll, Jeven Don Brava, Tristan Lenar, Mailbox 2112, Hy Anderson, Carl Langsberg, Michelle Borgi, Betty Osford, Jason Weber, CS Neon 2000, JS, Rob, Nicholas Brownie, Big Bear 833, Dare, Kim Bengston, Martin Gutha, Alan Hansen, Rob Hassal, Stephen K, Arnaud, J, Emerald Stewart, Anthony Panullo, Rob Hewitt, Diane McCormack Smith, Dark Griffiths, Victor, Corey Tickler, Lugubrious Camhor, Zoe C. Jafet, 3Gs, Marco Parasnik, James Copeland, Rogelio Thomas, Wandering Paria, Kim Tango, Strange A. Raptor, Nicholas Acebar, Benji Lin, Emily Queen of Sloth, Nicholas Davis, Agon David, Pablo Cuesta, Benjamin Barbet, Pumpkin Hill, Chris Black, Jacob Matthews Babiuk, Andrei Michensko, Jake Stein, Stefan Zimmerman, Tom, Martin Reverois, Sheshua, Matt Wallis, Robert McKillon, Daniel Peach, Henrik, Yusuf Ali, Chester Ross, Adam Foods, Tyler Hughes, Chris G, Spicy Joe, Matt Watson, Hamish Donald, Matthew Lang, Stavros Stavro, Mac Reguera, Romain Ars Miniatura, Jazz Rex, Dr. Cathaver, Alengelos Alexos, Des, Josep Nicole Ancona, Antoine Darvon, Felix Frank, Aaron Bersten, Daniel Ramin, Bowsy, Terry Denham, Plunge, Biom, Howard Holby, Stephanie All, Stephen Rockford, Roy Nilsson, Orscanio, Anton Domberg, Nigen Guyenda, Marco Cristalios, Bartosz Badensky, Darcy Farrar, Natius Maximus, Javi Mota, Adam Thaxon, Gareth Smith, Heather Ramstel, Mark Jarvis, Fergal, Josh Simpson, Christoph Moret, Charles Armitage, G-Force, Dr. V, Renard Lindemann, Kiddo Muther, Andrew Dyer, and Kevin Sullers. And as for me, I will catch you in the next one. Bye. It broke, by the way. I just threw it on the floor and it snapped off the stand. You see, these things are awful. Hate them.